Live, live.
Here we are.
Health, excellent.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, my lordy. Something else tonight.
Oh, Lord. Well, it is 8:25, and we officially kick off Talking Toast at 8:28. So you have a few minutes to grab a friend, grab a drink, and grab a friend to drink. But don't grab your friend. Don't
grab your friend.
Don't grab your friend. I get hiccups at the most inopportune times. It's really annoying. But here I am.
Lord. Is it I, Lord?
It is I who have been chosen to have the hiccups right now. I need to be scared. God.
Didn't work.
Oh, Lord. Well, here we are in all of our glory for Talking Toast tonight. I apparently didn't have enough water with dinner. That'll do it.
Do you need some water?
Thank you. That's better.
Oh, good.
Well, here we are. I hope
we
you're
are.
here with us. And if you're not, we're just here hiccuping and losing our cool in the cyberspace.
Yeah. So this is Talking Toast. This is something that we do every Tuesday night. We start right about 8:28. So you've got a few minutes. Go ahead and chime in. Let us know where you're watching from tonight, and let us know what the weather's
Is
like.
it shorts weather where you are?
Yeah.
Because I wore shorts today.
I wore shorts at the this afternoon to go pick up our child. It was awesome. Yeah. It's not sweater weather anymore.
I put on this sweatshirt 10 minutes ago, and I had a hot flash, and I considered taking it off, but
it's too late, baby. Now
here we are.
It's too late. Oh, yeah.
It's warm here in it is spring. Spring has sprung in Catonsville. Although I did hear murmurings of a snowstorm next week that they're tracking.
We're in the 50s.
I know.
No.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. This is Talking Toast. We pull back the curtain on the creative process that is sort of the sermon writing. For us, it's homilies. But then we also talk about life. Sometimes we evolve into sports. Not devolve. No. We evolve into sports. And we just talk about the things that are going on in our world. So
there's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot going on in the world. If you chime in at any point and let us know also if you know who wrote the song that is in the title tonight.
I didn't even read the title.
You didn't read the title?
Oh, this is Coldplay, yeah?
Not Coldplay. Maybe. Anyway, you can keep on thinking about it. It's all right. It's one of those 90s band names, coming out of the 90s.
I live under a proverbial rock.
Coming out of the 90s and into the 2000s. This is if you were going to give a stereotypical band name for that time, this is the one you'd say.
I don't know who that is.
It's okay.
Can I phone a friend?
Yeah. Anybody, chime in.
I need to phone Rachel.
Bright Lights is the name of the song. Get it? Bright Lights? What we're talking about tonight?
Yep.
Yeah. It is Rob Thomas is the lead singer. He probably wrote it.
That rings a bell.
Mm-hmm.
It's not Grateful Dead.
No, it's not Grateful Dead.
Rob Thomas. I tell you, I live under a rock. Rob Thomas.
Rob Thomas. Somebody will help her out in a little while. So, anyway, yeah. Rob Thomas is the lead singer of this band. He went on his own and did some solo albums.
All right. Well, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
And by we, I mean me.
Yeah.
But we start every Talking Toast by asking the same question. And that is, what is sustaining you?
Got some hiccups. Give me some more water.
No, I'm good. What is sustaining you? So, what is the 808 beat that is just below the surface that is pulling you through? What is the thing that is bringing you life? What is the thing that is saving your life right now?
Yeah.
Go ahead and answer that question in the comments, and we'll be looking through that through the week,
Yeah.
so that we can kind of respond to it, y'all. This has.
I don't think you've ever had hiccups
I've never
like
had
that.
hiccups on Talking Toast.
I don't think I've ever heard you have hiccups this long either.
Not
Like,
this
since
long,
we've
but
been married.
I have them like this.
Yeah.
I think I'm dehydrated from running so much.
Well, yeah. So what is sustaining you? So we would love for you to chime in and let us know what is sustaining you in these moments. What's sustaining you in these moments right now?
That's a good question. I've been thinking about this all day in anticipation of this question.
Really?
And
Because I always forget until the very last moment. I'm like, oh yeah. Sorry.
it's funny though, because it's not been like a particularly difficult week, and it's not been particularly busy. But I had a little bit of trouble thinking about it. But and this is going to come back later on, but something about this week and the ordinariness of it has been really delightful. Thinking about how we didn't really have like a reset, but we had, like, you and I talked for 2 minutes and said, like, hey, we should do some things this weekend with our family. And Friday night we went out, and then Saturday night we went to Saturday we went to DC, and it just feels like we've had some really good family time.
Yeah.
That's been not anything out of the ordinary, just kind of normal life, but it's been really, really good.
Yeah.
So those are the things that have been sustaining me.
That's good stuff. There was one delightful moment that's been sustaining me. Of course, in your sermon, you talked about one of them. That was great.
The bubble guy.
But the next thing that we did was we walked 1.5 miles from the National Mall to Arepa Zone, which was...
Highly recommend.
Yeah, a Venezuelan arepa place.
Oh my gosh.
Arepa.
Arepa?
Arepa. Anyway, delicious. That was seriously one of the best things I've ever had.
It was so good. And so let me replay this. So we went to DC on Saturday. And John went to the Air and Space Museum with Sophie. And I had a 13-mile run that I had to do, which I was like hating my life like 8 miles in. I was like, I could be at Air and Space right now. But so I did the 13 miles. And I was running down the National Mall. If you can picture it, you know the National Mall is this like broad open space with running paths and benches and grass and all the things, right? So I'm running down the National Mall, and I know that this bench in the distance is going to be the place where my run is going to end, because it is empty and it is past the 13-mile mark. And so I run and I get to the bench. And before sitting down, I just put my hands on my knees and I lean down for a minute. And by the time I stand back up to take my seat at the bench that I had scoped out, someone else had sat at it. And so there were people lining the benches all up and down the mall. Mm-hmm. And I had nowhere to sit.
We're talking about what's sustaining us right now.
I know. Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. So I laid on the grass. I just plopped because I was tired. And up runs Sophie and John. Mm-hmm. And John goes, "There's a restaurant I want to go to. It's about 1.5 miles from here. You want to walk there?" I was like, "You get out of here with that kind of witchcraft." But we walked there and it was delightful.
It was wonderful.
It was so good. And I don't know that I think that's going to be a staple for us in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've got to go there more.
Yeah.
So what's sustaining me is those arepas, but then also Deanna hit on it. She said, "I love your new show. Great job, guys. It was really meaningful and powerful." Thank you so much, Deanna. We put something new out into the world last Thursday.
We did.
And it was so much fun. It was interviews with our friend Moses. You had a really great poem on there. I got to have a Zoom call with my band, and it was just a lot of fun. And so I'm already thinking about like the next episode of that. But it was just a long form video, and you can go back and watch sometime. It's called Sip and Savor.
It's on the Talking Toast channel.
It's on the Talking Toast channel.
If you're on YouTube or on Facebook.
It's on YouTube and Facebook. And it was just a lot of fun. And it's a lengthy thing. You can go back and watch it in multiple settings, or if you need something that's like an hour long, that might be something good to do. Oh, I forgot to put up the podcast with that. I made the audio podcast. We got time to do it. Anyway, so thank you, Deanna. It's going to be finished. The album's going to be finished up soon too, and we're gonna create a new band name. I think we're getting closer to a band name, and so we'll share that soon.
This has been a really fun process to see kind of culminate.
Yeah, it's been good stuff. It's been good stuff. So that's what is sustaining us. At any point, if you'd like to share what's sustaining you, we'd love to know. But now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty. Now we get really serious on Talking Toast.
That's not possible.
It's time. We're going to talk about two things this week. We've got the scripture that I kind of focus on, and then we've got delight. What we didn't talk about this ahead of time. Do you want me to focus on the scripture first, and then you end us with delight, or do you want to start with delight? Which one do you want?
Yes to both. Let's review just a minute to orient people, perfect. And then we'll go to the scripture, and then we'll go to the delight. Awesome. So we are ending an 8-week time of focusing on. That is not Lily. That is an aggressive coloring happening.
Lily's not coloring, actually.
No, she doesn't have thumbs. So we're ending an 8-week study on delight and what delight does for us as human beings, but also as spiritual beings. Not that there are any difference there. But so we are following the guidance of Ross Gay, who wrote first the Book of Delights and second the Book of More Delights, that are essays in observing the world at a deeper level. And so what we hope that people have gleaned from this 8-week time is the need for different patterns in life, to slow down and take time to appreciate the delights that are in their midst, and to see at a different, almost at a different wavelength, that the delights that are before us. Yeah. So that's like 30,000 foot view of Delightful Church Project and what we've been doing the last little while. Mm-hmm. Each week are homilies. So John preaches the first homily on the lectionary text, the lectionary gospel. And then I link that to the work of delight and the importance of delight in kind of enacting the lessons from that text. And so that's kind of where we are, and we're sadly at the end of that project.
Yeah, but it has been delightful. It really has been wonderful, and it's tapped us. We've talked about joy being the undercurrent, and the delights are what kind of uncover that joy along and along. And it's been something that has done just that for me. So I'm really appreciative of it. Can we? Hey, Sophie, could you not color quite as hard?
I'm not coloring hard.
Well, we can hear it. Can you go a little easier? Oh my gosh. She's drawing a wolf, and it is like wildly good.
I might show it during when we do the.
There you go.
All right, we can toast with it. Your dad said I'm sustained. Deanna said, yes, Deanna, thank you. Well, we definitely want to connect with your dad. Jim said, I'm sustained by the energy you bring to all of us. However, all week I've thought about Sophie remembering the Krispy Kreme donuts I would bring to her. Yep. We did a taste we watched
that was another totally ordinary moment in our lives.
We watched the Food That Built America, and it was the competition between Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme.
Yeah.
And so we went out in the middle of the night and grabbed a couple different donuts from Dunkin' Donuts and some from Krispy Kreme and did a little tast test. And
not in the middle of the night. It was like 8 o'clock at night.
It felt like the middle of the night.
night.
It was so much fun.
Yep. So this week you are preaching. This is a significant day in the life of the church for us. At Christian Temple, we will be celebrating Transfiguration Sunday, which is the last Sunday before Lent begins, the season of Lent. So we'll talk a little bit more about the season of Lent next week. But so this is the last Sunday. So it's a big marker because it's the same story every year. And it's a Sunday that we wear white stoles. So it's a big Sunday in the life of the church to mark the transition to a new season.
Yeah. And Deanna, I'll talk to you about the album later on. I just want to let you know, I see that comment. We're not pausing the album. We're just going to put it out in four different chunks. Anyway, so Luke 9:28 through 36. Peter, James, and John were with Jesus, and they go up on a mountain, and they're sleepy. They're sleeping, and all of a sudden, when they awake from their slumber, all of a sudden they wake to find Jesus sort of standing there, maybe in the sky a little bit, with Elijah and Moses, and Jesus' face has changed, and his clothes are all white.
And he's shimmering. Right?
Yeah, and they're like, what in the world has just happened?
Yeah.
And I think about those, like, of course it happens when they wake up.
Yeah.
They're a little bit groggy. And I've always wondered how they knew in that moment. You know, we're talking about Elijah and Moses, who lived maybe, I don't know how many hundreds of years earlier. But how did they know what they looked like?
They wouldn't have known. They wouldn't have known what they looked like. Only, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, it's clear that this is an editorial comment.
Oh, yeah.
But the symbolism notwithstanding, we just take it at face value. We've got Jesus's closest circle of disciples waking up to visions of the closest predecessors and almost the only figures in Hebrew history that are comparable to what Jesus is doing.
Yeah. And yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, too, because Matthew gets more into trying to tie Jesus to Moses with different things and tries to tie to all of the things not just Moses, but trying to tie him very clearly to the prophetic words
and to the Hebrew tradition,
and
because
the
he's speaking
expectations.
very clearly
Yeah.
to a Hebrew audience.
Yeah, but Luke's more of the storyteller, and in this moment, they wake up, they're groggy, they see this, and Peter immediately starts to talk, which.
Because he always does.
So this is me. Peter looks and is like, whoa, Jesus, this is amazing. We need to build something right here. Like we need to build a tent.
Something.
Let's do it. Let's make sure that we mark this moment because this is real. And it's just kind of blah, 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 right?
Some would call that diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah. And so what happens is a voice comes down from the sky and says, "Hey."
Just like that.
Hey, listen. This is my son, my
Plot
beloved.
twist. Plot
Listen.
twist. He also has the hiccups.
Hey, so anyway, all of a sudden they stop talking. Peter especially stops talking, and Jesus says, "All right, don't say anything about this." Now, they obviously did because Luke's writing about it, but it's one of those be quiet moments.
Yeah.
And so what I think about is how often, whenever something is momentous, whenever something changes in front of me, whenever this is an experience where you just think, wow, my immediate response is, I've got to do something to mark this. I've got to take a picture. I've got to remember this. I've got to write about this. I've got to say something aloud. I can't wait to tell Katie, those kind of things. Sometimes we need, in the moment, to recognize that the moment requires nothing but delighting in it. And that moment just needs the reverence.
Yep.
Ross does a really good job of talking about these things.
Yeah. So I actually I didn't know you were going to say this. And I was actually just scanning. There is a delight, and I can't remember which book. I think it's in the second book, about not grasping a hold of the delight, that it is fleeting. Delights are fleeting, especially when we try to grasp them and own them. And I think that's what Peter does. Peter's response is like, let's build an infrastructure around this. Let's build something around this to mark this moment. Let's write this down. Let's take this picture. Let's do something to make this lasting. Which
are not bad things.
They're not bad things, but they knock you out of the moment. At our church, we practice something with the kids called godly play. And when you train a godly play trainer, or a godly play storyteller, one of the things you talk about in that training is being knocked out of the story. Because when you're telling a story, you're in it, and you're focused on it, and your entire body is in it. And if something happens in the space where you're telling the story, if a person interrupts, or if something,
choir members walk through and get their catgum music in the middle of the thing. Sorry,
not that has happened before, but if something happens, what we are trained to talk, how we're trained to talk about it is being knocked out of the story. And so in a lot of ways, that delight, it captures our attention, but trying to capture the delight knocks us out of the delight itself. which is kind of ironic because you think about like the value of paying attention, which can often only be done by some sort of chronicling, right? Like intentionally, one of the things that we've done in this Delightful Church project is try to drive home the importance of intentionally chronicling our delights, intentionally keeping track of our delights, so that we can train ourselves to look out for them. And so in that keeping track, the irony is that sometimes when we keep track of those delights, it knocks us out of the moment.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens with Peter. Peter's like so delighted.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to build all this stuff around this. And then in it, and Jesus is like, no, come on, Peter. But in that, he's kind of like knocked out of the delight. He's pushed out of it. And in trying to grasp it, it slips through his hands.
Mm-hmm. I think about this dichotomy a little bit. Not dichotomy, but I think about the depth of the story of Peter and how this is also the one who Jesus looked at and said, this is the rock upon whom I will build the church.
Right. Deeply flawed.
Well, yeah, not just the deeply flawed side, but there is... I feel like that's Jesus's way of acknowledging, I know you want to build something. Like, I know that's in you. And that's okay. Yeah. It will happen. But we've got it. It's got to be at the right time. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
I found
we're
the
not
delight.
there yet. Okay.
I found the delight. Can I read it out loud to everybody?
Please.
It's from Book of More Delights. So this is number 24, Squirrel and a Pumpkin. On a porch down the block on my way, distracted from which, reminded of which, and I was very still, which is also like terrible way to begin a sentence, but only a way that Ross Gay can begin a sentence. So the critter gobbled away, though with an eye on me, which you could tell was really on me when looking down into the pumpkin for more goodies, looking at me, then looking down, then looking at me, then looking down, then looking at me one more time to be sure. I guess I was not actually one of the neighborhood cats, dressed up like a human being with a backpack, before plunging headlong into the gourd, so that all that remained visible of the critter was that plump butt, those long-footed rear legs, and that tail, buoyant, flamboyant, and, well, gaudy, even gauche, truth be told, until popping back out of the pumpkin, eyeballing me again while working over this seed, which to the squirrel, from the looks of it, would be like me eating a little pizza. I'm talking scale here. The squirrel was in the plumping phase of the year, not worried about spring break. And because of my job, a lucky job as far as they go, I thought, oh, this is a delight. Let me write this down. So I elegantly swiveled my backpack into my front pack, unzipped slowly as possible, reached into the bag, and as I was pulling out my notebook, the squirrel looked at me like, oh, no, you don't, cat dressed as a human, and tipped away, as they do, which might be a small but useful lesson. Here it goes. On the differences, or perhaps the consequences, of acquiring versus being with, or in, or of the delight.
That's fantastic.
We can't acquire. We can be with it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Your dad talked about the Pope on this night. And I think about that need. The Pope came along later, right? Like they tried to mark it back to Peter.
Right.
In that. But this is like an institution that was built over time.
Right.
And I wonder what would have happened institutionally had there been more in the moment delights, in the moment paying attention, in the moment being there and not worried about building the thing.
Being in and of and not acquiring.
Not acquiring, yeah. Who knows?
Which is a very capitalist sentiment of ours, to acquire. Like,
Yeah.
that's the impulse we've been taught. Colonialist impulse,
Yeah.
maybe even.
Yeah.
We've been taught this impulse of you see it, you like it, you get it. And whether that's by force or by purchase, the two are similar in their getting, and the that impulse though is this impulse to kind of clasp and grasp and own in many ways, versus just to be immersed in,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's an important lesson to learn from Peter. That's an important lesson to learn from Ross Gay, of being in the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, friends, we've done some talking. I hope this has been good for you. It's been good for us. We need to do some toasting. And we need to see what art came about from while we were while we were listening. Look at that! Yeah, you got your little wolf there.
Here, hold it
I
up
like
to the
it.
camera so they can see the
I like
intricate details.
Yeah,
There you go.
look at that.
Yeah.
Yep. That's good stuff. We needed the voice of women. Maybe we would have had fewer crusades. That's right. Fewer wars.
Do we need more voices of women?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, friends, let's do some toasting. Katie, can you start us?
Yep. So, Sophie, we're talking about being in the moment. Okay?
I heard. I
And-
was listening.
Oh, you were
Helped me
listening the
draw.
whole time. Okay, sorry.
That kind of helped me focus on drawing.
Oh, good. Good. All right. Well, cheers to you, friends. And may you not, the aggressive coloring, may you not be tempted with acquiring, but be satisfied and deeply satisfied with being in and of and with the experience of delight.
Yeah. Sophie, do you
have
want
a
to say?
Do you have a toast?
You want to say, may you find delight in what you do?
May you find delight in what you do.
Yeah. And may you find delight in what you don't do. Whenever you pause and whenever you have that experience, may you find that you're in it and be in it.
Be in it. Be in it.
Cheers,
Cheers.
friends.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers. We'll see you next week. We love you all. Yeah. So good night. Good night.
Did you have a good night?
Yep.